just a minute past 7 o'clock here in Abuja, the nation's capital. Welcome to the program, everyone. This is Politics Today, live on your award-winning television station, Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimaloye. Welcome on board, everyone. If you're looking for where you get all the right information you need as far as politics is concerned, you know you are right on cue to where you get it, your one-stop shop. So let's get started and feed you with some of the latest in the land today. Let's begin with what happened today at the presidential villa, where the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Al-Kaba, has been explaining the massive deployment of security personnel to Anambra ahead of the November 6 elections, which he says will have its advantages and, of course, disadvantages. The IGP said that in a ministerial briefing today at the State House that 34,587 police personnel will be deployed to the state, but notes that such deployment is also capable of discouraging voter turnout. The IGP also spoke about the case involving a suspended senior police officer, Abba Kyari, who was indicted in an FBI investigation. Take a listen to the IG.
As for the massive deployment, yes, it has its advantage, it has its disadvantage. And that is why, knowing the fact that it has its disadvantage of maybe militarizing the electoral process, we try to involve the engagement of public enlightenment, the involvement of stakeholders, that our presence is to police the situation in two ways. It is while we are asking people to come out and vote, another group or another subversive elements are saying, don't come, if you come, we'll do this, we will do that. So there must be some level of assurance that we will give to these people to come out. And that requires massive deployment of officers and men who will also ensure that the subversive elements do not take over the process. It has its advantage, but we try to, as much as possible, ensure that it is for the advantage of everybody that the massive deployment should take place.
That's the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kaba, speaking about the deployment to Anambra State for the governorship election. We'll touch more on the Anambra governorship election. One of the major candidates in that race will be talking to us right here. But before we get talking, of course, we tell you some of what you need to know as far as the PDP National Convention is concerned. So the court will only determine whether or not it can go ahead with the convention a day before, just a few hours before the convention. What does that mean? I have chieftains of the party to talk to us about this matter, the implication. What if the court said, don't go do it? Is the PDP prepared for the shock? Can they absorb that kind of shock that comes after such judgment? Well, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The crisis rocking the Plateau State House of Assembly seems unabating, with a sitting of 12 members in an undisclosed location presided over by the embattled impeached Speaker Abok Ayuba. In what seems to be a swift reaction to the early hours incident where 8 members removed the Speaker of the House, another set of parliamentarians had a plenary session at an undisclosed venue where some decisions were taken. At the session, member representing Pangshin North, Philip Dawson, moved the motion for the suspension of the members involved in the impeachment saga for gross misconduct and found wanting of ridiculing parliamentary procedure, which was seconded by the minority leader, member representing Barikin Ladi, Peter Gengdeng, and was eventually ratified by the members. The sitting also passed a vote of confidence on the embattled impeached Speaker Abok Ayuba during the session.
Standing for the people of Plateau State, we stand for the truth, we stand for justice, we stand for the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we stand for democracy.
Towards improving the ease of doing business index, especially acquisition of land for residential and commercial purposes, and reduce encumbrances, the Ogun State government has launched a state land administration and revenue management system. At the official launch of the scheme in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, the state governor Dapo Abiodun says that this is a way to improve the state internally generated revenue and plan for real development of the state economy.
The more informed the government is in planning, the more we are also able to speed up the provision of infrastructure in that particular cluster, because we are getting real-time feedback from you that these are the areas that we should be focusing on.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Now we can tell you, Anambra governorship election is just about 10 days away. And so candidates have been going around the state to canvass votes ahead of the election. Tonight, we continue our engagements with the candidates and who are saying that they want to lead the state, Anambra State, in the southeast region of the country. One man tonight I will be speaking with is the one who says that he's seeking continuity. The candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, and the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Charles Soludo. He joins us from Anambra State tonight. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight. Let's begin the conversation around what we heard the IG says about the issue of deployment. What's your take on the heavy deployment of police personnel for the election?
Well, thank you very much. Are you hearing me?
Absolutely, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. I think that's a welcome news, and but that's not new. If you recall, whenever you have one state election in the country, that is usually this heavy deployment. We've had that in 2017. We had that in 2014. And if you recall the Edo election and several other states where you have one state election, the particular day, you always have heavy deployment of police. So I think it's welcome, and especially in the light of recent challenges and threats regarding security, the heavy deployment is welcome. At least that will help to calm the situation, give the people the confidence that you can just walk. I mean, your polling booth is just a stone throw from your house. You just walk a few meters, you go and vote and go home. And so I welcome that, and I think that will greatly help.
You are one person that is seeking continuity in the sense that you want the ABGA as a political party to continue in the reins of power in Anambra State. But security is now a major problem in Anambra State. Do you have a solution to the issue of security or the insecurity in your state?
When you talk about that, let's put the security thing in context. Anambra has, over the last 7 years and a half, actually been recognized nationally as the safest state. And the governor has won various awards given to it by various security agencies and rating agencies on security. Anambra has remained safe. It's remained the state where people who used to fear to come home because of kidnapping used to have their traditional weddings and so on in Abuja, Lagos, and so on. And in the last 7.5 years, we've never had it so good. A boom in the hospitality industry and boom in economic activities and poverty coming down from 53% to 14% and so on and so forth. And now in the last few months, of course, you know that the spate of insecurity in the entire country, Anambra not an exception. So for us in Anambra, the recent events happen to be a surprise, an outlier, as it were, a sudden shock that is out of the normal. And I think our governor is also doing everything to bring, and they're working with the federal security agencies. And I think they have stepped up to the plate. And so for me, when you talk about continuity, that is in terms of the party in power, APGA. APGA has, over the last 60 years, done the people of Anambra proud. It is their own party. They believe in it. It's almost like a cult-like followership in Anambra. And it has delivered the dividends of democracy to the people of Anambra. P2B did well. Everybody acknowledges that in the state by implementing the manifesto of APGA. And Governor Obiano has done even better, not only implementing the same, but has taken it much higher. Next tomorrow, the Anambra Airport, International Cargo and Passenger Airport, will be commissioned. And all the flights into Anambra next tomorrow are fully booked. even for Sunday. And that is a landmark achievement. We built an airport with the second longest runway in Nigeria after Murtala Mohammed Airport, an international convention center that will seat over 10,000 people. And like I said, poverty tumbling down from 53% to 14%. That's one of the states with the highest improvement in terms of poverty, going south instead of upwards. And so APGA has served Anambra well. And that is why the people are not in a haste to want to switch parties. I mean, if it's not broken, why do you fix it? You just keep on. Of course, whatever is not fixed over the last development and transformation continues to be a lifetime and never an ending process. You keep improving, you keep improving, you keep improving, you keep improving. Even the United States of America recently passed a $2 trillion infrastructure fund to rebuild America's infrastructure. So even including roads and so on and so forth. So you just keep moving up. Continuity in terms of the platform that has delivered the dividends to the people. We haven't had it so good. And in terms of stability and tranquility and the dividends in all facets of it. And so they want that platform. The people of the state want it to continue. It's not just me seeking that continuity. And what we now hope to do is to build on the foundation built by APGA over the last 16 years. First, by P2B, who led, if you like, the preliminary phase. Obiano has built on top of it. And we are going to take it even from there, consolidate on those achievements, continue with, all the projects started, continue them, complete them, start off new ones, consolidate them, and take off on a trajectory of massive transformation.
So, I was asking because solution is part of the acronym that you put together for your campaign. You said you are the man who has brought solution. So you've told us what the Obiano, the succession plan, and all of that is all about. But you've not really told us what you as a person will bring on board to permanently solve the problem that you say that just came up a few weeks ago in Anambra State, a new phenomenon in your state. What is specific is a solution that you are bringing on board in the issue of insecurity?
Okay. Now, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get to the larger agenda, my larger agenda, which is the Soludo solution, if I may give you that as a 72-page manifesto for the people of Anambra. And security happened to be one of the major.
Then I'll send some check to you. I'll send a check to you, Prof, for the advertisement of your manifesto. It's fair enough. It's not going to be too expensive for you, but I'll send a check to you. That's not a problem. You can afford it. Go ahead, please.
Well, I'm not charging you as well for this appearance, but let's go on to this now. Now, the point I want to make is that in my manifesto, I have a whole section on security, and we consider it as one of the enablers, one of the foundations. Of course, if you're without security, most of the other things are not going to happen. And let me put a context to it. First is that there is something that has made Anambra the safest state in the Federation over the last 7.5 years. And that is the security architecture put together by the governor and working with the federal security agencies. And they have diligently implemented those. The local vigilante system, the local village vigilante system, coexisting in tandem with the federal forces, as you very well know. All the armed forces, police, and all of those belong into the exclusive list. And so they're within the forte of the federal government. And that's basically in charge. But the governor is the chief security officer, and at least nominally in the Constitution. But our governor hasn't taken it in a nominal sense. He's taking some steps. And what I intend to do under my manifesto is to consolidate on the existing security architecture by way of seeing this two-way interface between the local security forces, these federal security forces, providing the equipment and technology and training for the various arms that operate within Anambra, especially on intelligence gathering, but even more fundamentally as well, that we need to engage. This is going to be new and different. We want to have very robust engagement, that is, in addition to the existing architecture, with, if you like, the non-state actors, which some people say some of the recent happenings seems to be politically motivated in some people, politicians who are desperate to ensure insecurity as their own strategy to ensure voter apathy and voter suppression, as the case may be. But that is going to be transient if that is the case after the election. And if, by the grace of God, we win, I think that will also fizzle out. But going forward, we need to bring all the actors to the table. The non-state actors.
So if I may get it, Prof, quickly, so let me sorry to cut in. If I may get it, you say you're bringing the non-state actors. What we've seen in the past is the proscribed group, IPOB, was calling for a sit at home. The question is, how would you resolve, how would you give a permanent solution to the issue of IPOB and the agitation and the threats that we have seen in the past few weeks?
Let me tell you this. I mean, there are multiple pathways to this. The first, obviously, is that in a democracy, you dialogue. In a democracy, you discuss. Agitation, I have a two-pronged approach to agitation. The first approach of it is obviously prosperity. Prosperity and livability of our homeland will cure many of this restlessness and joblessness and so on and so forth for our youth. That's what prosperity, and that's what my manifesto is designed to build, a livable and prosperous homeland. That is the medium and longer term. In the medium term, the IPOB and its own views about the homeland, it's something that I believe, quite frankly, that we must discuss. You cannot shoot an idea. You can shoot individuals coming up, but what their ideas were really, in various fora in the past, I had called for very rigorous and robust debate on this matter, which hasn't quite been rigorously interrogated, if even to offer alternative narratives and counter-narratives, as it were. And unless people discuss this in an open, transparent manner and see where because somebody, if you are in silos, you want to shoot an idea, like I said, you can never shoot guns at ideas. You can only shoot bodies, but not ideas. And when some ideas are propelling certain actions, we need to get out and interrogate those ideas and debate them vigorously. And then, probably in the process, synthesis and antithesis, you come to some, thesis and antithesis, you come to some kind of synthesis as to the way to go. Being part of the Federation of Nigeria, and until and when or if, whatever they are seeking, we need a peaceful, livable, and prosperous homeland. As it people are bound to have different opinions about how you run a society, how you create prosperity. But there is one thing that I believe everybody agrees, and that is that the youths need jobs, they need good schools, they need good hospitals, they need good roads, they need healthcare, they need livable, clean, planned cities where their children can live in comfort and in some peace. And I think there is no question, no debate about that. Now, once we agree on that, the next question is the how. And people have alternative views. And I think we need to come to terms to interrogate this in a more vigorous form. And I believe that interrogation, because several times I've had this kind of some debates or some conversations with some I come to a conclusion that people are not, I mean, in terms of the objective is simple prosperity and for, I mean, a good life and so on and happiness for everyone. That's what everybody is saying. In terms of the means, we've got to come to terms with it. Is this something you're going to shoot you up through to have?
All right.
I am not quite.
Let me quickly take you away from security, because I know if we continue on discussing security, we can discuss it for several hours and throughout the whole day, because it's a very important aspect of the lives of the people. But let me take you to one aspect that is your area. But you've said that you're going to create 130,000 jobs annually. So the question is that 130,000 times 4, you're talking about almost 600,000 jobs plus jobs. And the question is, where will those jobs come from? How would you do that? And because the criticism is that there are debts that have been incurred by the present government that you are going to be inheriting should you become governor. How do you defend that? What do you say to that?
You've asked too many questions at a time. In terms of the one bucket of your question is the issue of debt. That's at the speculation level. I mean, that's people say and think and say. I don't speculate. I deal with facts, as you might know. That's my background. Is that I don't get into speculation. I deal with the facts. When I see the facts, we'll get to interrogate them. But assuming, and I mean that what you said is right, I guess the full gamut of my manifesto is standing on 4 major plans, because you asked the issue of how. And our vision to have Anambra, as you very well know, the large chunk of our population happen to be involved in the commercial sector of the economy. That's the dominant part of our economy, and that's also the largest sector that absorbs the labor force currently. We want to continue to maintain Anambra as its dominant position in the area of commerce. But then, an economy that is dominated by informal commercial system, that's not the future. Medium-term agenda is to gradually transit from that, or in addition to the commercial dominance, but also to turn Anambra to become an industrial technology leisure hub of the country, even the sub-West African region, as it were. And as we get on to that, this is a country of mighty opportunities. The whole game plan is to transit gradually from an oil-dependent economy as we're getting into a post-oil economy. And we've got a huge agenda for Made in Anambra that is going to drive our industrialization and an Anambra standard industrialization. About 4 or 5 industrial parks that we want to power, powered by gas to power agenda, providing 24-hour electricity. And we're expecting hundreds and thousands of farms, medium to large farms, to be flooding in Anambra. And as we talk to investors, what they are actually looking for, get them security, get them industrial parks that guarantees them power, as it were, and the other incentives that we have labeled out. They want to come to Anambra because you have the market, huge market opportunities. And I also said that I'm going to be the chief marketing officer for any and everything that is produced in Anambra. We have an agenda for those who are importing, or people import a whole lot. I'm building on the can-do spirit of the Anambra first. The human capital, we got about the largest entrepreneurs per square kilometer. It's some people, I can argue that, but arguably the largest concentration of entrepreneurs per every square kilometers, and the can-do spirit of the Anambra person. We want to be able to now link them from the importation. We have an agenda from importation to manufacturing to exportation. The future, given the African Continental Free Trade Area, is export-oriented industrialization, even for Nigeria. But we want to create Anambra as an industrial hub. And with these firms coming and employing hundreds and thousands, we've done quite a bit of number. In the informal sector, you're going to have a boom in the sector. On the industrial space, massive boom out there. Even in the technology world, we have an agenda to turn Anambra to become the digital tribe within the country. We have about 850 850 kilometers of fiber optic cables laid around the highways, which we now want to have the last mile connections to public places and have our students, and especially in public places, to have our students and youths and so on have access to very cheap and ultimately free Wi-Fi, and training tens of thousands of our youths, at least 10 to 13,000 on an annual basis. We've laid this out in our manifesto. And then also powering them with a few billion on an annual basis, 1,000 youth millionaires a year that we want to power with a few millions each, and then linking them to up to fund in terms of debt, that they themselves can become job creators rather than employees. And when we start to punch all these numbers from the various sectors, take agriculture as well. It's a huge boom. We have an agenda for 1 million palm seedlings that will be given to our farmers on an annual basis. And of course, our agenda, even for mainstreaming further the large-scale commercial agriculture that can have thousands of the other outgrowers and so on and so forth. So our agenda, then the entertainment tourism industry is virgin. We want Anambra to be really that center through a special project funding to fund Africa's largest entertainment leisure hub, because that will be part of our next oil. That will increase footprints, our estimates of between 500,000 to 1 million visitors a year into Anambra, just to relax and enjoy. Nigeria hasn't got a place with about 200-something million.
Prof, but before we take our first break on the program, because we're talking about facts, and when I mentioned the issue of debt the other time, since you talk about fact, from the figures released from the DMO, the domestic debt of Anambra State as listed as at the end of last year is about 60 billion domestic debt and about 116 million US dollars on the external debt. We just have about 30 or 40 seconds to go on our first break. How would you handle this? How would you be looking to reduce it? Well, you're an economist. You can tell us whether you are going to borrow more, or what would you do with that kind of bucket of debt?
First and foremost, you're putting a source. And I don't want to begin to challenge the DMO. I'm a stickler for statistics and for the sources, but we're going to verify that. I also know that those figures have been challenged, or there are questions raised by the state government about those numbers, because those numbers you just mentioned, 60 billion, 160 million, borrowed from where? From who? Who are the creditors, as the case may be. So when we throw these numbers, these are some numbers I see on social media and so on, but the alternative figures that we have, and when I look at what the numbers are. But let me tell you, regardless of what the numbers are, our manifesto is one that we have fully costed out. And we're going to deal with this in a number of ways. First, we're going to look at the data and see which of them and what it is that will probably require refinancing options that we could explore. We have provisions for our project financing that we're going to explore, because we will be tilting quite a whole lot towards private sector driven projects. We have a whole program there for raising huge project funding, about a few $100 million, that will actually be devoted to funding purely bankable
All right.
project, as it were.
Prof, we're
We
due
also
for a
have
break.
an
Yeah. So we need to take a breather. When we come back, I just have about 1 minute 30 seconds with Professor Charles Soludo, the candidate of ABGA, and we get his concluding thoughts on his ambition, the manifesto and agenda for the people of Anambra State. Should he be elected? What are his plans? We conclude on that, then we focus on the People's Democratic Party and the National Convention, the dilemma on the court case that will be determined tomorrow, whether or not it will continue. Senator Dino Melaye is a member of the PDP Convention Committee and the secretary of the Appeal Committee. Some people are aggrieved with the outcome of the Appeal Committee process in the PDP. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. Our closing moment now with Professor Charles Soludo, the ABGA governorship candidate in the Anambra governorship election. Thank you so much, Prof, for staying with us. A quick one, we just have about 1 minute with you. The big question will be, should you be elected as governor of Anambra State? What would you like Anambra to be noted for? One thing that you perhaps would like your state to be noted for within the first 4 years if you were elected?
Anambra will be on the march forward to be that state that is the preferred destination for people to live, to invest, to relax, to work. To invest, to live, to work, to learn, and to relax and enjoy. That's the key, the foundation of ours. And when you think in terms of that, I will be on the march, you will see the foundation laid, and you will begin to see that as our march towards being an industrial technology leisure hub of West Africa. You will see clear pillars of that if you don't even begin to see the fruits of that. And all the enablers that will require to do that. And let me say this, our manifesto is the only one that has addressed the issue of financing. And you can believe that we have thought it through, we've costed it, where we generate the domestic resources, the IGR, where we get onto project financing, where we do refinancing options, and all the mixed match of financing to deliver what we have promised. And I want to tell you this, with those that have lined up to do this, offering themselves for this job, with every sense of modesty, anyone that Soludo couldn't do, given global, national experience and networks, then it probably wouldn't happen. So
all right, Prof, we need to close now. And just this one, quick one, 20 seconds. I need your help on this one. Quick one. You've been accused of playing religious politics in this election, in the campaign. In fact, the APC and PDP are saying they will beat your party so much that they will beat it out of existence. That's a threat. Are you afraid of these parties? Just in 20 seconds, we need to close now.
Isn't it funny? It's those who are playing those that I was asked to run this by a coalition of more than 40 pressure groups and numbering over 500,000 in number of a number of people that urged me to run across all religious groups, across. Nobody running for office has my credentials on ecumenism in Nigeria from the national level down. I think I'm too big to play religious politics. They are playing those to actually try to catch up with us because they see that we have run off with the election. And so those who are doing that want to begin to make the accusation first so that they see if it will stick. But I want to tell you this. This is a movement, a mass movement of the Anambra people, of all denominations of the Christian, including non-Christian. Those who don't believe, the Muslims, the Christians, of all denominations and so on, that are the coalition that is propelling me to office.
Professor Charles Soludo, I wish you the very best. The candidate of ABGA in the Anambra governorship election, which is just about 10 days away. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time tonight.
Thank you. I wish we'll have time to deal with the manifesto someday. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Let's switch gears now, everyone, and let's talk about the People's Democratic Party. It's no longer today, but tomorrow. We reported, the court said it's going to rule today, but it's no longer going to be today, it's tomorrow, that the PDP will determine or get to know whether or not the Saturday National Convention will hold or not. So the appeal court in Port Harcourt says that it will decide whether the PDP will go ahead with the conduct of the National Convention that's slated for this weekend. A panel of 3 justices headed by Justice Haruna Simon Samani reserved the ruling on today after hearing arguments in the application filed by the former chairman of the People's Democratic Party, which is secondary to suspend the conduct of the convention. Tonight, we're being joined by a member of the PDP National Convention Planning Committee and the Secretary of the Appeals Committee, a former lawmaker, Senator Dino Melaye. Thank you so much, distinguished Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. The pleasure is always mine.
One of your colleagues that you graduated, that you got an LLB together, I was talking to him yesterday, and I said, I thought that it's okay to say congratulations on the award of LLB.
Thank you very much.
How do you feel about that?
Very proud, and I'm heading to the law school.
That's good. For someone that had been prosecuted for one thing or the other in the past, what does this? What kind of feeling do you have about it?
Yes, I'm matching my practical experience with my academic experience.
You say you've learned a lot, isn't it?
Very well.
You now know better.
I know better, and I will pursue things in a more civilized, legal manner now.
You are now legally matured.
Very, very.
So let's speak about your party. Your party is in a dilemma. It's, there's a trouble. I mean, people are anxious, and it's in the air. Whether or not you go ahead with the convention on Saturday, things are still in the balance. How does that make your party feel right now?
Anyway, I want to start by debunking and rejecting that statement that we're in a dilemma. We are not in a dilemma. My party is solid. There is no fear. There's no agitation. The agitation is rather from the opposition party, the APC, who are part of those orchestrating what we are saying.
So it's APC that is doing this?
They are part of it.
But it's Prince Secondus that went to court.
Is a member
of the APC?
I am telling you that the APC, in their desperation, understand, to create problems in the PDP, knowing fully well that their explosion and disintegration is imminent, so they only want to see how they can disturb the PDP. But I want to tell you that we are not perturbed. There is calmness in the PDP. All our programs and preparation towards the convention is ongoing. As I speak with you, governors are meeting, people are at the Eagle Square, and the convention will hold.
So let me give you an analogy, and these days I do that a lot. So that we can have a practical, because when politicians say they debunk, they deny, your party at the moment looks like a groom that is preparing for a wedding on Saturday, but it doesn't know whether the bride will arrive because of flight issues on the day of the wedding. No. That's what it looks like. No. Because if there's a judgment that will determine the fate of the National Convention on Friday for a Saturday convention, isn't that a dilemma for your party? Isn't that the hope and the aspiration and the fate of your party hanging in the balance?
Sure, I still want to insist that we are not perturbed. We are not disturbed at all.
You are just optimistic.
We are very optimistic because we know the case before the court. And from my elementary knowledge of law, I know there's nothing to bother ourselves about. Everything that has happened within the confines and the provisions of our constitution as a party and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. So there's no point for agitation. Like I said, the agitation and the push and the social media lies is from the NGO called APC, and their implosion is definitely guaranteed. So they should concentrate on their implosion.
Senator, I know you're trying to do some crisis.
Not at all. Not at all. I'll speak to you the way it is.
No. Yeah, because the reality is that your lawyers are in court.
Our lawyers are in court because there's a case in court. But I'm telling you that the outcome will be favorable to the PDP, to the surprise of the APC and others who think they can create problem in the PDP. I can tell you, I'm not a prophet, but I tell you with every sense of modesty that our convention will hold on Saturday.
Because you know, in law, the arm of the law, there's a two-arm to it. The defendant and the appellant, whatever be the case,
but some cases are so crystal.
It could go either way.
Some cases are so.
So what happens, Senator, on Friday evening, and the court says stop the convention?
It won't happen.
No. What if it happens?
It will not happen.
It's a possibility.
I am saying that it will not happen.
You're not the judge, Senator.
I am not a judge, but I am a student of the law and a graduate of law, and I can tell you that from what I have seen so far, there is no cause for alarm.
Well, you're not sitting in the bench tomorrow. You're not one of the judges. And I'm saying that should it happen, is your party prepared for the worst?
It will not happen. And I want to announce to the APC that their whipping, their grinding, their agitation will continue because it will not happen. We are going on with our convention.
But should it happen, what would you do,
we are prepared to rescue this country, and we will take over government in 2023. And APC should be worried about the factionalization and crisis in their own party.
But I don't know. The fire is on your roof in the PDP, not on the APC
no,
roof.
There's no fire on our roof.
So
the APC, the APC, as I speak to you, have 6 factions.
Look at what it is.
And this is
look at the title of the discussion. PDP Internal Affairs.
Yeah, PDP Internal Affairs. That title was decided by channels, not by PDP. And I want to tell you
is the internal affairs that we're discussing.
We're discussing our internal affairs, but I want to tell you that some of the crisis you're saying is being propelled. Some of the propaganda and lies is being propelled by the opposition party. And I want to tell you that they should concentrate on the 6 factions they have in the APC. 6 different factions. And that manifested in the last Congress they had. You can see that there's no state in the country where there are no 2 or 3 chairmen and all that.
All right, Senator, let's take another breather. And when we come back, the senator who sat as the secretary of the appeal committee will tell us the aggrieved persons and the outcome of the appeals committee work in the PDP. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Our conversation tonight is the PDP Internal Affairs. Senator Dino Melaye, member of the PDP Planning Committee and secretary of the PDP Appeals Committee, has been talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Maybe because you were a member of the APC. I almost said APC member. Maybe you're one of those that might find his way back to the APC because
I wouldn't be lying. I plead the blood of Jesus.
On what's that?
That's not possible. Once I was blind, now I can see.
You may not return to the APC?
No reasonable, logical human being will go back to his vomit. No. That's the APC is a disaster.
But you were in PDP, you went to APC, now you're back in PDP.
Yeah, because
it looks like you did what you've just described once.
Yeah, for every human being, there's a journey of life. You definitely pass through your Egypt to the land of Canaan. So I passed through Egypt, and that's APC. But I'm in Canaan, and I'm comfortable, and I'm enjoying my stay.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about the appeals committee, which you sat as secretary. There are a lot of people who are aggrieved. How many people faced your committee?
First, I want to say that we are very impressed with the PDP, that of everyone who bought from, we had only about 7 to 8 complaints from the screening committee. And out of these 7, 2 voluntarily even withdrew their agitations and complaints. And I was told even on my way here that 2 more have withdrawn from there. So at the end of the day, we only have 2 or 3 cases. And that is very, very impressive, because I know that if the APC is conducting their national convention, there will be over 2,000 cases for the screening and appeal committee to consider. So for us, having only 3 or 4 people complaining, every other thing is by consensus. Shows that, that the PDP is a democratic party, the internal democracy is inherent, and our cohesion is solid, and we are winning disciples on a daily basis. You
had Dr. Diolafes or Dr. Okemo, 3 people that were disqualified from running for office. Did they face the
And I also want to announce to you that they did not even approach the appeal panel at all.
Maybe they were too angry.
That is not correct. That is not correct.
What happened?
These are patriotic party people who believe in the togetherness and the prosperity of our party. I mean, Edio Lafeso is a responsible Nigerian. He was a vice chairman southwest of our party. And I want to just tell you that we are a big family, and that is why the APC is afraid.
Is there anyone who was screened out that is now being readopted into the process?
Yeah, the report of the appeal committee, we just concluded this evening, and I'm writing the report as I speak now. So the report will be out later tonight.
Okay, so there is a possibility of some people who have been screened back into the process?
Yes, I will say that you wait for the report to
so there are over almost 40 positions that people are going to be vying for.
Very well.
How many of those are consensus?
Like I speak to you now, I said we only have about 3-4 places where there are 2 or more contestants. But for every other position, it's a consensus, and that can only happen in the PDP.
Oh, so which other positions are people now contestation about now?
And even those people where there's contestation right now, there's discussions are going on for the position of auditor, for the position of the national, the deputy national chairman North, you know, and maybe the national youth leader, you know. But even talks are going on to make sure that things are, as a family, who are not APC, we will always get through.
I mean, but your party, some members of your party have accused the party that it never keeps to its word. For example, your party promised that it's going to keep to the 35% affirmation for women in the position. Your party promised that there are some positions that will be ceded to the women, aside the national women leader position.
Even as I speak with you now, governors are meeting with the women. And that is a progression, that is a positive discussion. And I know that women, the party will take women very seriously. We have respect for women, and the party will not jettison our promise on the women. We respect the women. We are not, like I say again, we are not APC. We are an organized, progressive, national democratic party.
Did you put a benchmark on the age of those who want to contest for the party national youth leader? Because we've always had overage youth leaders in your party.
No, after the president signed the not too young to rule bill into law, the party amended our constitution, and age 40 is the peg for the youth leader. You can't have anybody in the PDP as youth leader who is older than 40 years. Yeah, no.
So as it stands right now, with the issue of those who are aggrieved, the consensus and all of that, you are working to ensure that all of the positions are consensus. Is that what the party is working on?
We're not working on consensus. It came naturally. Because
it didn't come naturally.
It came naturally because
you were convincing people to step
what
down
we're saying is that
to have consensus.
These positions were zoned to caucuses, were zoned to zones, were zoned to states. So states can sit down, zones can sit down and agree amongst themselves that this is the person we want to present. Not that it was forced by the party or it's part of... No, it's because of the cohesion, because of the unity, because of the democratic maturity and leadership quality of the leadership of the party that you see that there's consensus everywhere, which is practically impossible in the APC as manifested in the last Congress, where you have A division, B division, C division, and the presidential one will be katakata for the NGO called APC.
Senator Dino Melai, former federal lawmaker from Kogi State and a member of the PDP National Planning Committee, Secretary to the Appeals Committee. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, but I was hoping there would be enough time to really discuss, but that's fine, that's okay.
I think we tried.
Another day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimbale. Bye for now.